Chapter 2. Earth Person starts his journey. Earth Person. Hi, Martian. Hi. I had been giving some thought to what you said. I guess one of the reasons I can't say for sure I want to become rich and happy is that it all seems so far away. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with my life. Right now, I'd just like to get out of this mess I'm in. They both involve the same process. You can use the process to get out of your mess, and you can continue to use it to get anything else you want. Well, I do want to get out of this mess. Good. But I don't know where to start. When is a more useful question to ask yourself. What do you mean when? When you will start is more important than where you will start. Why is that? Looking for a place to start and never finding it is a way to keep yourself from starting. Keep myself from starting? Yes, you're in charge of whether you start or not, and you're in charge of when you start. How can I decide to start when I don't know what's entailed? When will you start to determine what's entailed? Oh, I see what you mean. The when question again. Well, I guess it's now or never. Will you start now? Yes. Okay then, start. All right, what do I need to do? You first need to learn to see and hear like a Martian. See and hear like a Martian? What's so important about that? Once you see and hear like a Martian, you'll see where you are, what you're doing, and where it's leading you. You'll know what you're saying and where your words lead. Then you'll know what to change. Seeing and hearing provide a base from which to start. Is that why most people never get out of the rut? Why they never change? Because they don't have a place to start from? Yes, they never see, so they don't know where they are. To get from point A to point B, you must first know where point A is. They never learn where point A is, and they never get to B. They skip the very first step. Exactly. Wow, that's absolutely fascinating. But why can you Martians see and hear so much better than Earth people? It's not that we see better, it's that we don't place interpretations on what we see. Earth people see briefly. They see part of what's happening, but then they place interpretations on what they see and stop themselves from seeing any further. I don't understand. Yesterday, your boss frowned at you, or at least you thought he frowned at you. You became worried because you thought he was angry with you. You worried all afternoon. Actually, all you saw was a frown. You made assumptions about the frown and let these assumptions influence you the rest of the day. You do things like that all the time. You confuse your interpretations of events with the events themselves. You don't see and leave it at that. Actually, your boss frowned because he had a headache and he had more work than he could handle. It had nothing at all to do with you. How do you know that? I've observed him before and can recognize when he's in pain. I guess I never thought of it that way before. Oh, can you give me another example? All right. Tell me what happened at lunch today. Lunch? I ate a sandwich. What's there to tell? And before eating? Oh, now I remember. I asked my friend Mary to go to lunch with me. She didn't want to, and I felt really bad for a while. I wondered what I'd done wrong. What was your assumption? Assumption? Oh, you mean the assumption I'd done something wrong? Yes. See what I mean? You heard Mary's words and assumed that you'd done something wrong. You didn't just hear, you interpreted. Actually, all Mary wanted was to have some time to herself. I think I'm beginning to catch on. You have other examples? Sure. You often assume people are talking about you when they're really making statements about themselves. They do? When do I do that? Every time someone you're talking to uses the word you. I don't quite follow. You're saying that when I'm talking to someone and he uses the word you, he might not be referring to me? Yes. You're making an assumption based solely on some of the words he used. You're not just hearing. But what am I not hearing? That he's usually not talking about you. He's usually talking about himself. Wait a minute. This is crazy. Could you give me any examples? Sure. When your boss told you last week that he thought you'd done a good job, you felt pleased. You thought he was talking about you. Well, he was. No, he was talking about himself. He was saying he felt pleased. But he didn't say that. He said that I'd done a good job. He referred directly to me. That's what I mean. You insist on making assumptions. Didn't he say that? Didn't he use those words? He did use those words, but what he was doing was making a statement about himself. He was saying what he felt and what he thought. Oh, I think I see what you mean. But doesn't everybody do that? Doesn't everybody just say what he thinks and feels? Yes, and that's exactly my point. If you weren't so concerned with your own self-importance and so hypnotized by the word you'd always hear things exactly as they are. Hypnotized? Yes. Now, when you hear the word you believe it has something to do with you personally, and you gauge your responses accordingly. And what would I hear if I weren't hypnotized? Someone making a statement that included the word you. Oh, you mean I wouldn't feel complimented or in other cases disappointed or depressed because of what he said? I'd be hearing him objectively. Right. And how will this help me get out of the mess I'm in? You'll be able to devote much more time and energy to getting out of your mess because you won't be tied up in responding to the hypnotic effects of others. I think I see what you mean. I really spend a lot of time doing that. Is there anything else I need to learn in order to see and hear clearly? Yes, you'll need to learn to see and hear with a broader perspective. Are you interested? I sure am. All right then. You'll need to learn to detach yourself from your surroundings and to see yourself as a disinterested observer, as if you were me, seeing you. If you'd done this with your boss or today at lunch with Mary, you'd have seen yourself reacting to them and you'd have been able to stop yourself from reacting as you did. But what would I have done instead? Now you're talking about doing. That involves a different decision from seeing. And we haven't even determined for sure that you want to see. What do you mean? It's no help to take decisions out of sequence. Seeing comes first. After we are certain you've decided to see, then we can talk about doing. All right, can you teach me how to see and hear like a Martian? No, it isn't teachable, but you can learn by watching and listening to me. That doesn't seem too hard. Well, the watching and listening may not be difficult, but the decision to see and hear like a Martian can be. It's a different decision from deciding to just watch and listen. In fact, it's a decision you may not want to make. You may have to give up your fantasies. Huh? You have certain ideas about life that aren't consistent with the way life really is. These ideas are fantasies that you adopted in the past, which have served you until now, and you may not want to give them up. I remember you said I might have to give up something familiar to get what I want. Is this what you meant? Were you referring to my fantasies? Fantasies are one example, but you also have to give up other things. Like what? You'll know them when they appear. It always happens this way. You'll learn about them when the time is right. What sort of fantasies will I have to give up? Your fantasies about life that stop you from seeing clearly. You mean about the way I want life to be? And about people, and the way you've seen them in the past. You've seen them not as they are, but rather as you wished they were. You'll also have to give up your fantasies about how to do things in life. All those ways of doing things which in the past you thought or hoped would work, but which in fact never did. Once you see your old fantasies for what they are, and once you know they will never work, you'll be able to operate much more effectively. But many people prefer to hold on to their old ways, even if they are fantasies that will never bring success. Martian? Yes. I'm sad. Oh, what about? I know so many people like that. People who don't want to give up the fantasies. My own father was like that. And my mother too, to some extent. My father kept thinking the world was fair and people were honest. He'd look at someone and believe that person was honest, whether he was or not. My father believed if he just worked hard and stayed out of trouble, everything would work out all right. Well, it didn't, and he could never understand why. Many people build their lives on fantasies. So many of my friends do it. They hope and they dream, and the world just doesn't fit their hopes and dreams. But I hope and dream, so there must be a lot of the world that I miss seeing also. Is it like that for me too, Martian? Yes, in many ways. There are many fantasies you need to re-examine. Each will involve a separate decision. At each moment of clarity, you'll choose one of two paths. Either to return to your old fantasies, or to push forward toward greater clarity by giving those fantasies up. If you choose to move toward clarity, you'll arrive at a new level of awareness and your life will change. But won't I become cold and calculating after I give up my fantasies? No, People always think this will happen, but it never does. You'll merely replace your old fantasies with new ones, but not until after you learned to see. I hope so. It's a little scary. Well, let's see what I've learned so far. First, when I learn to see and hear like a Martian, I'll no longer make assumptions about events, nor place instant interpretations on them. I'll see them only as they occur. Without adding a bias of my own, I'll also have a broader perspective, and I'll be able to look at myself objectively, from outside myself as if I were you, seeing me. I'll see myself doing whatever I'm doing. Now, is there anything else I'll be able to do? Yes. The first type of seeing you mentioned involves learning to see the external world. That is, people and events around you. The second involves learning to see yourself in the external world. That is, stepping outside yourself as if you were a third-party observer, collecting data on both you and your surroundings. But there's still one more type of seeing to learn. A third type? Yes. Even more subtle than the first two. It involves learning to see inside yourself. That is, learning to know what you're experiencing with your thoughts and feelings. In particular, it involves learning to hear what you're saying to yourself and learning to know what you're feeling. Oh, you mean that feelings are also information to be collected? That feelings are data just like everything else? Yes. But Martian, there are lots of times when I don't feel anything at all. Oh, really? Yes. What are you feeling right now? Nothing. Then tell me about your flushed face. Well, darn it. I don't like you reading my mind. And what are you feeling? I guess I'm shocked. You caught me by surprise. You guess? Actually, I felt you were invading my privacy. You got too close to home. Scared. Yeah, I felt scared. You don't like to acknowledge what you feel, do you? No. Tell me, are most people like this, or am I just a bit peculiar? Most people are the same way. All Earth people constantly feel something. It's part of the mechanism. Even if they're just feeling numb or deadened and don't think they're feeling anything, they're actually feeling numb and deadened. But how could you tell what I was feeling just now? You wouldn't have started this conversation if you weren't feeling some doubt, some wonderment, or possibly some curiosity about this process of seeing like a Martian. These are the sorts of things that Earth people feel in such situations. And as soon as I said you were feeling something, you started feeling embarrassed or scared. Did you know I was feeling scared before I told you? Yes. How could you tell? By seeing. I observed what happened to your face. Why is it so important for me to know what I feel? That's a very interesting question. It's one I myself asked when I first came to Earth. It happens that Earth people have a very peculiar mechanism that motivates them to say and do things mainly on the basis of what they feel. Yet, interestingly, very few Earth people actually know what they feel, and many of those who do have trouble acknowledging it. Why is that? It's a very strange phenomenon. It appears that most young Earth people are trained by their mothers and fathers not to know what they feel. That's hard to believe. Why do you say that? Well, Earth people, as a group, have never developed an effective way of dealing with their feelings, particularly their bad feelings like anger and guilt, but also some of their good feelings like love and joy and sexuality. They're trained not to feel these feelings or not to feel them too intensely. Or if they do feel them, they're trained not to be aware of them. Only a very few lucky children escape this difficulty. Why do you say they're lucky? Because they grow up with a great advantage over everyone else. They develop unusually fine instincts and intuition. Their gut responses are highly accurate, and their perceptions are unusually well developed. They acquire a good feel for life and a talent for doing many things. They become very successful. All because they learn to know what they feel? Don't brains and intelligence have anything to do with it? Not very much. Not nearly as much as people think. You mean that everyone who learns to know what he feels becomes successful? Not necessarily, but he always has the potential. It depends on what decisions he makes about using this potential. So what you're saying is that it's more important for me to learn what I feel than it is to learn anything else. Yes. Particularly at this point in your life, you need to redevelop your potential. Information about other things may be useful later on. That sounds pretty silly. I'm not a basket case. I already know what I feel, at least most of the time. You know that you feel, but you frequently don't know what you feel, and you don't know how to act on your feelings. Often the fact that you're feeling something is only a dim awareness in the back of your mind. You're not close enough to your feelings to know what they are, and you don't know how to operate from them. Hmm. But why do mothers and fathers train their children not to know what they feel if it's so harmful? They don't know any better. They themselves were trained that way. It's been passed down from generation to generation. They do it without thinking. It's been going on like that for a long time. Is this training done consciously? Not at all. Sometimes it isn't even done actively. Sometimes a youngster's environment is made so uncomfortable for him that he trains himself not to feel or not to know what he feels. He splits himself off from his feelings. I hear what you're saying about all this, and I think I might be this type of person. I might have a lot of feelings I simply don't want to feel. I mean, there's no sense dwelling on the fact that I'm depressed if I can't do anything about it. But you can do something about it. You can change your feelings. It's just that most Earth people don't know they can. You mean that I can stop feeling depressed and feel happy instead? And I can get rid of my feelings of self-doubt and actually feel self-confident and happy all the time? Absolutely. And when you feel self-confident, you'll be able to accomplish a great deal more than ever before. The trade-offs you'll need to make will be easier too. In fact, you'll be able to get just about anything you want, and with a great deal of satisfaction. And can you teach me to do this? There you go again. Thinking someone else must teach you and denying your capacity to learn for yourself. I don't understand. I know, but it's something I can't teach you. You must learn it for yourself. It's an individual experience. But do you think I can? You're doubting yourself. You were trained to doubt yourself. You'll have to learn not to do that. And you'll have to give up the feeling of self-doubt that induces such questions. But is there anything you can do to help me? Yes, there is. The process of getting clear is like a journey, and I can travel alongside you as you go through it. Will you help direct me? No. No one can direct your journey. It wouldn't be yours if they could. But you'll be making a series of decisions along the way. And I can help you outline your options. I can also remind you of your earlier decisions you've made that may reflect on your new ones. How will I know when the process is finished? When my journey is complete? You'll know. Could you give me a clue? When the process is complete, you'll have the clarity of a Martian and be able to get anything you want. Boy, that's exciting. We'll have lots to talk about then, won't we? No. At the end of your journey, you won't need to see me anymore. I'll just disappear. You'll disappear? I don't want you to disappear. We'll have nothing more to talk about. My observations will have become a part of you. All along your journey, you'll be asking questions of me, but at the end, you will have nothing left to ask. You won't miss me. You'll be your own person. You'll experience a sense of completeness, and my departure will seem a natural conclusion to our relationship. Wow, that's really hard to conceive. I know. Are you ready to start? Yes, I am. Good. Let's rest a little. Tomorrow we'll begin. Comments. This chapter has lots of meat in it. It's worth reading many times over. First, there's the question of when. If you're interested in changing your life, when is the only relevant question to ask yourself. Asking what to do or where to start or answering I don't know to any question you might ask yourself will only prevent you from starting your new life. People who become rich and happy see things differently from other people. This isn't a special skill they're born with, but rather an ability everyone has. Most people lose touch with this ability, however, as they grow up and learn to understand what people mean. Learning to understand includes learning to interpret, to make assumptions, and to draw conclusions. They begin substituting what they've learned for what they might otherwise perceive. People who become successful somehow avoid this. They hold on to their ability to see while supplementing it with their interpretations. Their interpretations and assumptions are never absolute. They never fully understand in the sense that they stop from seeing further. To recapture this skill, you must learn to question all your automatic, unthinking assumptions about life as you know it. You must rethink all your previous conclusions. You must allow yourself to see things without trying to understand them. And when you think you understand them, you must avoid simple conclusions so you can continue to see. This book is filled with examples of assumptions Earth Person has made about himself, about the people around him, and about the way the world operates. Many are based on information he's learned, and many are pure fantasy. Just as in real life, most of these assumptions are not clearly labeled as such. It's up to you to discover them for yourself. The more sensible or logical they seem, the more harmful they may be. Seeing where you are so you know what to change from is absolutely essential to altering the course of your life. Many people are afraid to look at themselves. They decide at some point in their lives that they're not going to like what they see, so they stop themselves from seeing it. When you find yourself doing this, you'll need to consider re-examining this decision. It's perhaps the most dysfunctional decision you've ever made. You simply can't hide from yourself and get rich. The 3 types of seeing covered in this chapter, seeing the external world, seeing yourself in the external world, and seeing within yourself, come easily to the most successful people. Thus, they get a much better idea of how to operate and a much better sense of what they really want to get out of life than the average person. Seeing is indispensable to getting what you want. As someone once said, how can you ever get what you want if you can't even see it in the first place? The idea that people are motivated to do things on the basis of what they feel is such an obvious notion to some people as to barely merit mentioning. To many others who don't know what they feel, it's simply mind-boggling. They've been taught to do things on the basis of what they think. They've cut themselves off from their feelings for a wide variety of reasons. Many men are taught to be strong. To acknowledge they feel is a sign of weakness. Many women are taught that some feelings are downright sinful, feeling powerful and feeling sexy, for example. The list of things some people aren't permitted to feel is endless. Strong, weak, angry, sad, disappointed, frustrated, and so on. Those who operate from a life plan leading directly to riches and happiness rarely receive such programming. And if they do receive it, they don't buy it. They may think about things before acting, but their final decisions are always based on what they feel. Since they haven't cut themselves off from their feelings, decided not to feel, their final decisions are almost always based on an intuitive sense that virtually guarantees success. The notion that people can change what they feel in a given situation and feel good instead of feeling bad is counter to the teaching of most of our society. Yet, people who become rich and happy learn to feel good. They rarely engage in feeling guilty, depressed, or scared, or anything else that drains their mental and emotional energy. Their total attention is fixed on positive goals. They achieve this state not by hiding from the negative issues in their lives, but by resolving and eliminating such issues. Most of this book is devoted to methods that can help you do the same in your own life.